I have a promotion exam coming up at work, and I need to buy materials for it. Plus, if I leave work without doing overtime, my salary itself will decrease. During a discussion about their future and finances after getting married, Tony expresses concern that the money he can contribute to household expenses will be less because of his exam preparation. I thought it was fine since we were both working. However, I soon began to feel uneasy about Tony's actions. Unfamiliar apps suddenly increased overtime. Above all, when we went out to eat, he didn't touch his food at all. The strange movements of the waiter's hands also caught my attention. I felt like I had seen that hand movement somewhere before. If my hunch was right, it could be really bad. I left the bar we had gone to under the pretense of work and distanced myself from Tony. I then set out to uncover Tony's suspicious actions. Thinking no one would notice was a big mistake. I am Hillary Adams, turning 38 this year. I work as a tax consultant and enjoy a fulfilling life both professionally and personally. I can proudly say that I am enjoying both public and private life now. Though it was quite hard until I reached this point. When I graduated from college, it was during a recession and job hunting was not going well. I felt desperate to work and become a part of society. And I think I was just spinning my wheels back then. Struggling in an impossible situation, I finally landed a job offer from a small company. Honestly, I could say I worked there reluctantly. However, that's when my opportunity came. While interacting with other companies and doing sales, I felt it. That is, the workplace, or the company, lacked vitality. Many companies were struggling, unable to increase profits as they had hoped. Wondering what to do next. I wanted to improve the morale and sales of companies and increase the number of workplaces where people could work with smiles. From that desire, I decided to pursue a career that could help boost company profits and performance, leading me to aim to become a tax consultant. After years of studying, I became a tax consultant at 34. It was an unusual career path. Moving from a corporate employee in a small business to a tax consultant. Thanks to that, I finally found what I wanted to do. Of course, my work life is very fulfilling, but I felt something was lacking in my private life. What was this insufficiency? I realized it was not having a partner who would stand by me. Someone to help out when times were tough. My days off involved activities like movies or shopping, things I could do alone. My friends were getting married or having children. And we were no longer going out together on days off. While I enjoy my alone time, how wonderful it would be to spend precious time with someone. At the suggestion of a friend, I registered on a dating tool to meet a compatible partner. I exchanged messages with several people, and there was one man I particularly clicked with. That man would later become my husband, Tony Adams. Tony, who worked for a nationally renowned electronics manufacturer, had an aura of competence. The flow of his messages was smooth, and I could interact without feeling pressured, which left a good impression. When we first met in person, I could easily imagine myself being with him. Nice to meet you.
Ah.
Nice to meet you. Though we've been messaging on the app for so long, it doesn't really feel like a first meeting, does it? That's true. It feels like we've known each other for a long time. Whether this was what it felt like to click with someone. The tempo and content of our conversation felt just right. I didn't realize how comfortable and nice it could be to relate to someone so easily. And Tony moved with such elegance, which I also found charming. You might be surprised to hear this since we just met. But I'd like to date you with marriage in mind. I've always wanted to date someone wonderful like you, so I'm really happy. From dating with marriage in mind to getting married didn't take long. I'll never forget Tony proposing to me with a bouquet of roses at a beautiful seaside restaurant. Hillary, I will definitely make you happy. Please stay with me. Let's get married. I'd be delighted. Thank you, and I look forward to our life together. At the age of 38, I finally married Tony. It might be a bit late compared to others, but age doesn't matter in marriage. It's about when you do it, with whom, and most importantly, whether you can be happy. I was sure that I could be happy with him. However, it seems I was the only one who thought this way. A shadow was looming over our marriage, and I didn't want to acknowledge it. Tony and I were both working. And we both thought it would be better if each had some discretionary money. So we implemented an allowance system. We put the necessary money in a shared wallet, and the rest was up to each to manage. When discussing how much to contribute in the future, Tony raised a concern. About the money we put in the common wallet, is it okay if I contribute less than you? Okay? Even if you say that, can I ask why? Then, Tony hesitated a bit but finally spoke up. I have a promotion exam coming up at work, and I need to buy materials for it. Plus, if I leave work without doing overtime, my salary itself will decrease. I see. Indeed, preparing for a promotion exam while working must be tough. I understand. I'll help you with whatever I can. Really? That's just like you, Hillary. Tony clapped his hands with joy. Well, it's an important exam that will affect your future career. We need to make sure you can perform your best. I remembered how mentally tough it was when I was studying for the tax consultant exam. Moreover, having once quit my job to focus solely on studying. I can imagine how difficult it must be to prepare for an exam while still working. Don't worry about the money. You should just focus on preparing for your promotion exam. Thank you. You're amazing, Hillary. So, when is the exam? It's in 8 months. It's a bit far off. Even though he was happy to focus on his studies, I reassured myself that this was the right thing to do. However, just after we made that agreement, Tony's work habits changed dramatically. What? You have another business trip the day after tomorrow? Right after we agreed on how much to put in our shared wallet. His business trips suddenly increased. I can't help it, it's a work order. But you need to prepare for your upcoming promotion exam, right? Do you really need to go on so many trips? What do you mean, should I just disobey orders and not go? Tony glared at me, looking somewhat stressed. That's not what I meant. I'm just worried. Then please don't interfere. It's crucial how much I can push myself here. Understood. But don't overdo it. They say men become blind to everything else when they focus on work. And maybe Tony is that type. I've been with this company for a long time. But I want to expand my role even more in the future. It would be good if you could do more, I'm here supporting you. Tony looked satisfied, but I was unaware of the underlying issues he might be hiding. Tony started bringing his work home, making our house feel a bit tense as I tried not to disturb him while he was focused. It was a bit stifling, but I did it for Tony. Then, one day, while the living room was quiet, his smartphone started chiming. Oh, that's Tony's phone. Right when Tony had gone to the bathroom during a break from work. His phone started chiming continuously. It might be important work-related calls, so I decided to inform him when he returned. Casually, I picked up Tony's phone, and I felt a moment of unease. The screen displayed a sparkling character app against a light blue background. Tony usually used his phone only for work-related purposes. But this app seemed out of place for business communications. Could it be an app for meeting someone of the opposite gender? But he wouldn't need such an app now that we're married. While I was pondering this, Tony returned from the bathroom. Hey, my phone, hey. Oh, your phone was ringing nonstop, so I thought I'd hand it to you. It might be important work stuff. Hey, don't mess with it. He snatched the phone from my hand with a snap. Sorry, but you didn't have to snatch it like that. Damn, you shouldn't meddle. I'm not openly married at work, so what if you suddenly picked up a call? As he said this, Tony quickly checked the screen of his phone. Indeed, in such a large company, not everyone would know who is married and who is not. Yet, his sour reaction to just handing him his phone seemed extreme. Perhaps his work was not going well. Tony's attitude often reflected his job satisfaction. From that day, I became even more careful around Tony. I didn't want him to accuse me of being the reason his work wasn't going well. Yet, noticing my caution, Tony spoke to me. Hey, are you free after work this Thursday? I'll probably finish around 7 p.m. What's up? I've been feeling bad about the other day. I know it's not much, but how about we go out for a drink as an apology? Seeing his awkwardly smiling face, I felt relieved inside. I quickly agreed. That sounds nice. It's rare for you to suggest going out for drinks. What's the occasion? With the tension broken, Tony began to speak. Don't say that. I've just started moving on a new client development, and it went well. I wanted to share this happiness with you, Hillary. Oh, that's great. You've had such a stern face. I thought you were handling a tough project, but I'm glad it went well. Then, let's meet at our usual station and head to the bar district, how about that? Before we were married, we used to explore various bars and enjoy the pairing of drinks and snacks. It was our hobby. Lately, both of our jobs had been too busy to explore new spots, but this was the perfect opportunity. The frequency of shop changes near our memorable station was high. So there might be some interesting new place. I was looking forward to the day of our appointment. On the day we had planned, I finished work earlier than usual so I wouldn't be late for our meeting. I remembered how we used to bar hop around this area before we got married. As usual, we would decide which bar to enter based on our mood. At the moment, a meeting of chance. Hey, over here. So, which place shall we try today? As we walked side by side through the bustling streets, we spotted a bar with an intriguing sign. The decorations were subtle, but every little decorative item was refined. The tile decorations also featured intricate patterns that exuded style. When I saw the sign that said "Open," it had delicious dish names and recommended items handwritten on it. It seems today they have the bartender's recommended drinks. Although it's my first time seeing it, there's something about it that attracts drinkers. Hey, how about we try this place today? I've walked this route several times, but I was excited to discover something new. What? This place? Should we look a bit more? There are plenty of other bars around. But, this place has a variety of drinks and dishes. Plus, it's stylish, and I think it might be nice to try something like this once in a while. What? Have you gone mad seeking style now? It's not like you to start doing things out of character, it's too much for me. There's no absolute reason we must go to this bar. But being rejected so strongly makes me wonder if there's something more. I thought this place looked nice, but is there something wrong with it? After I asked, Tony sighed deeply as if giving up. All right, as you wish. Tony acted like a sullen child, which bothered me. Was it so wrong to suggest this place? I don't understand Tony's recent mood swings. When we entered, there was a bar counter and some tables. At the bar counter stood a male bartender and a female apprentice with a badge indicating she was a trainee. I felt like the bartender glanced over at us briefly, which gave me an uncomfortable feeling. Since it just opened, there were no other customers. It felt like we had the place to ourselves. We sat at a table towards the back and opened the food menu. Let's start with some simple snacks, and maybe a wine?
Ah.
I closed the menu I was holding and placed our order using a nearby tablet. These days, even bars have tablets for ordering at tables other than the counter. It's nice not having to call over a waiter.
Yeah.
Tony's response seemed distracted. The trainee brought our ordered food and drinks. She glanced at my face briefly, making a puzzled expression. Is there something on my face? Maybe it's because I came straight from work and I look completely exhausted. For now, I took the dishes from the trainee and arranged them in an easy-to-eat layout. All the dishes looked delicious. There was a jillo, pickles, and a steaming hot gratin. I was torn about what to eat first. In front of Tony and me, there was the highball we ordered. To celebrate Tony's work success, cheers. I tried to lift the mood a bit by raising my glass enthusiastically. Then, I immediately started on the food in front of me. I was starving because a sudden task during lunch break made me miss my meal. With such appetizing food in front of me, I couldn't help but eat. Plus, I need to put something in my stomach, or I'll get drunk too quickly from the hunger. I reached for the gratin nearest to me first. The steaming hot white sauce and creamy cheese were incredibly delicious, warming up my chilled, tired body. Glancing at Tony, I saw him sipping his highball little by little. Tony sipping a highball so cautiously is unlike him. Plus, his gaze seemed to be wandering. Aren't you eating? Was Tony not fond of gratin? As I thought this, I served myself another helping. If you're not eating, I'll have it. I missed lunch today, after all. As I laughed and served myself more gratin, I made eye contact with the trainee. She was making a strange movement, rubbing her right ring finger against the palm of her left hand, which was held upwards. That odd movement got me thinking, it could mean something. Rubbing the ring finger against the palm is a sign for medicine in sign language. She was doing sign language in a way only visible to me, indicating she had a message meant just for me. Realizing she was communicating with me through sign language, I hastily set down the gratin I was holding and grabbed my smartphone, heading to the bathroom. Sorry, I need to use the restroom. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah.
Just a moment. Keep eating. Feeling a sudden dread, I decided it might be better not to stay in the bar any longer. Maybe I should leave first. I decided to sneak out under the guise of work. I hurried back from the restroom and called out to Tony. Sorry, I just got a call from work. I need to go. Oh, that's a shame. Yes, sorry. Are you going to keep drinking?
Yeah.
I might as well. It's been a while since we went out. I pretended to go back to work but actually checked into a hotel. What the bartender communicated, Tony's expressions and gestures, something didn't sit right. And I felt it was not just my imagination. Overthinking until my head felt like it would burst, I distracted myself by playing with my smartphone. It had been a while since I had time to browse, and I noticed an advertisement that caught my eye. The ad for an app titled How to Meet Your Destiny was the same as one on Tony's phone. That time, the notifications on his phone wouldn't stop. And I thought it was work-related, but it wasn't. I covered my mouth with both hands in shock. Why would a married person need an app to make new acquaintances? These types of apps are all the rage now. And new ones are being released constantly throughout the city, I know. That's why people who want to meet others probably use multiple apps. Given Tony's personality, he'd seek efficiency, so he's likely using several apps. It's hard to imagine he has only downloaded one. I had a bad feeling, so I decided to thoroughly check his phone. Then, I discovered numerous apps. I only saw them for a moment, but some seemed familiar, like they were in Tony's phone. Had he forgotten to delete the ones he used before we got married? Tony is meticulous and detail-oriented, so it's unlikely he would leave unused apps just lying around. I downloaded an app that seemed to be the same one Tony was using and registered for an account. That light blue app that flashed on Tony's phone screen. I registered my name and a simple profile and started using it right away. If Tony is using this app, it might reveal his true intentions. I told Tony I couldn't finish my work and stayed at a hotel. Then went straight to work from there the next day as part of my plan. The next day, I took a paid leave and ventured out from the hotel. I bought a long brown wig and a hat, then registered a profile photo. I crafted the profile info so it wouldn't be traced back to me. And started searching for matches immediately. I narrowed down the search by entering the area we live in, age, and hobbies. When I added the name of a niche game Tony likes, it significantly reduced the number of potential matches, making it easier to find him. I couldn't believe it, but as I scrolled through the profiles and icons, I found one that seemed to be Tony's and easily matched with him. I carefully exchanged messages with him without revealing my identity. In the app, Tony talked about being single, working for a certain manufacturer, and enjoying activities like soccer and barbecues on his days off. Obviously, he didn't realize he was talking to me. Confirming that Tony was using the app to seek encounters, I moved to the next part of my plan. On Friday night, I returned home and placed a lost item tag in the car we both use. I made sure to put it in the pocket of a cardigan left in the car. Then I returned home as if nothing happened. Given Tony's extensive use of dating apps, he likely wasn't just talking to one person. I'm home. Work didn't end, so it was tough. Do you have any plans for this weekend, Tony? I have to go out for work, so it looks like I won't be able to take any time off this weekend. I see. That's tough. There's a sale going on, so I thought about going shopping, but I'll go alone. Okay. Have a good time. As I watched Tony head to the bathroom with his phone, I knew he had been using the family computer to look up tourist spots in the next town. He had checked the times for boat tours, good bakeries, parks with night views, and even hotels, definitely suspicious. He even had search histories like gift for the one and what to say when proposing for the 5th time. So the woman he's planning to date this time must be special. I decided to make my move next weekend. I'm off to work then. Man, I hate having to work even on days off. Really. Take care. After watching Tony drive off, I set out to catch him cheating. I booked a room at the hotel he had looked up and first checked his movements from there. The lost item tag showed he was indeed heading to the next town. I watched the pins move on the map to the boat dock and a chic cafe. Tonight, the decisive confrontation would be at the park with the night view. It's easy to imagine that he would park near the park to enjoy the night view for a while. I timed my arrival at the park to coincide with dusk and surveyed the area. Soon, I recognized our car entering the parking lot. Tony and an unfamiliar woman got out. He wrapped his arm around her waist and escorted her to a spot with a good view of the night view. After watching Tony and the woman walk away from the car, I snuck into the back seat. I crouched down under the seat and waited for them to return. Satisfied with the night view, the two returned to the car. Wow, it was truly beautiful. Thinking about spending a wonderful night with you really makes my heart flutter. As Tony sat in the driver's seat, the woman presumed to be his affair partner took the passenger seat. I stood up from the back seat and wrapped my arms around Tony from behind. Hey, what is this all about? Tony turned around with a guilty look. Well, this is So, you were planning to propose to your main girl in the park? With a night view after making your fifth confession? Did you think you could progress with your affair so smoothly? Tony's face went pale, eerily illuminating the dark car interior, almost ghostlier than an actual ghost. What were you thinking, deceiving me and engaging in an affair? And you were drugging me at the bar, right? In cahoots with the bartender? What? How could you? Tony was still flustered. Want to know why? He clammed up immediately. The way you behaved at the bar we went to was strange. I checked the reviews, and there were several accounts of women getting unusually drunk. All were women's comments, which seemed odd. So what? He still tried to act tough despite the situation. Is that bartender a bad friend of yours? What a predator. I went back and talked to the female bartender. And she told me about the women you brought with you. The women I brought? Yes. You bring different women each time. And they all end up so drunk they can barely walk. Women do get drunk faster than men. But isn't it strange to get so drunk at a bar that you can't walk? Tony bit his lip, clearly out of excuses. The woman working there thought it was just her imagination at first, but eventually, she started to suspect something was off. That's why she discreetly told me about it. So, just because the people I drink with get wobbly, you're going to suspect me like this? I couldn't help but feel dismay at Tony's bad grace. I took out a pen. It was a pen I had secretly placed in Tony's bag. Actually, this pen has a recording function. I turned it on, so it has recorded everything you said at the bar. You understand what this means, right? Tony's face turned pale. It was a kind of pallor I had never seen on him before. Without hesitation, I pressed the play button. The recording clearly captured his voice thanking someone for putting a drug in the food. That would make people drunk more easily. I can't believe you would do something like this. Tony, obviously frustrated at being caught, burst out angrily. You should be grateful I married an old maid like you. Snooping around like a detective. In his anger, Tony slammed his bag down on the ground. A woman nearby glared at me and said something outrageous. It's you who's been chaining Tony down, isn't it? This is why you're hated, doing sneaky things like this. I would never do such things. It was clear that this woman, Mandy, was Tony's affair partner. She was clinging to him like a lover, her tone as shrill as a yapping puppy. I knew he was married, but I'm a better match for him. The other women were just for fun, right? I'm the one who will make Tony happy. A better match. He works at a manufacturer and is about to get a promotion. He said I could be a housewife if I wanted, once he's promoted. He'd make the best husband. Despite being an adult, she seemed to be running headlong without a thought. Like a dreamy girl full of misunderstandings. The man you want to marry is about to be fired from his job. It's laughable to think your future husband is getting the sack. Mandy's face showed shock, but she quickly started making a scene. That's a lie. There's no way Tony could be getting fired. Whatever grudge you have because I cheated. That doesn't mean you can make stuff up like that. I showed him a printout. I once had to contact his company for something. Apparently, he lied about business trips to go on pleasure trips with this woman. The printout contained evidence of false reports, including bogus business trip receipts. The people at the company were shocked by his work behavior. They said his contract would be terminated immediately. Contract termination? What do you mean? He's going to be a manager assistant soon. I couldn't help but laugh. He told you that, did he? Funny how you didn't know he's just a contract worker. Mandy looked confused about what to believe. I don't know what's good about a temporary employee who drugs women to satisfy his desires, but if you're okay with that, I'll leave him to you. No, thanks. I have no use for a man who's getting fired. As she said this and began to step out of the car, I quickly stuck out my foot, causing her to trip spectacularly. Mandy fell face first into the ground. What the hell? You knew he was married and still went after him, trying to steal him away. You were prepared for the high cost of an affair, right? Now it was Mandy's turn to go pale. I'm just a girl, I can't pay any compensation, I don't have that kind of money. It's embarrassing to say you don't have money because you're a woman and that young. Besides, having no money is undoubtedly your own fault. It's due to a lack of ability. Hey, you don't need to say it like that. Tony wraps his arm around Mandy, trying to protect her. I've had enough of your drama. A woman fully intent on stealing a married man. And a man who colludes with bartenders to drug drinks to satisfy his desires. You're perfect for each other. I start walking away from Tony and Mandy. I'm a girl, so I really can't pay. Tony will take care of everything, right? Hey, come on, it's about equality now, isn't it? There's no, men do this or women do that. Take care of your own responsibilities. That's cruel. So you betray me like this. I can hear them arguing behind me. I'm surprised to hear Mandy use the word betray. But none of that matters to me anymore. I head home, grab only the essentials, and decide to leave. Tony called many times trying to reconcile, but I ignored all his attempts. Once, I answered a call from an unknown number thinking it was someone else, but it was Tony. Please, anything but divorce. Do you think you're in a position to say you don't want a divorce? Because I can't make it if we divorce right now. Wait until I find another job. I sighed heavily. You want me to support you until you find a job? No way. Why don't you cry to your affair partner? Suddenly, Tony shouted. I can't do something that pathetic. But I'm not the kind of person to be intimidated. Pathetic? Who was it that did such pathetic things to me without hesitation? Tony fell silent. From now on, let's communicate through lawyers. I managed to get a decent compensation through the lawyers. Though Tony was out of a job due to his contract termination, his parents ended up covering for him. Now, he's working as a construction worker, toiled from morning till evening. Due to his nasty attitude and snarky remarks, he's apparently had a tough time with his seniors. As for Mandy, the affair partner, she got fired for having an affair at work. This was confirmed by someone who worked with her. She was screaming, "I'm not at fault," in the workplace till the very end. Afterward, I officially divorced Tony and am now enjoying life on my own. Both my career and private life are going well, and I'm genuinely happy to have divorced Tony. Recently, as I've become more involved in my work as a tax consultant, more people tell me how glad they are to have hired me. Every time I hear that, I feel grateful for my career. Maybe marrying Tony was a mistake, but choosing my own life like this, I have no regrets. By the way, I ran into the trainee from that bar at a shopping center food court, and we hit it off. That incident has led to us occasionally grabbing coffee together. She told me she was happy to use the sign language. She learned in a sign language club in such a meaningful way. Initially, she didn't know I was Tony's wife, and that story still makes for a good laugh now and then. Now, I just appreciate being able to live my life without any trouble.